Hey, I'm Lone Candle, and today I'm going to take a positive look at what Trump may do in office. Now, this is going to be an optimistic look. Now, I'm not saying I'm optimistic about a Trump presidency, but I'm going to try to think about things he might do and how they may go well. Now the goal is not to be unrealistically well, but things that plausibly could happen. Alright, one of his most famous things is renegotiating trade deals. So, with China, look, it's possible. He'll make some demands on China, and Trump's a bit of a loose cannon. They don't know what to do with Trump. He might be serious about putting on serious tariffs. And, well, China's economy isn't the strongest right now. Their primary goal, the Communist Party, is staying in power. They have a great fear of a revolution from their own people. Hey, maybe if their economy slows a little bit because of tariffs, they could be in trouble. So maybe they'll give in to Trump. Do I think that's likely? No. The Chinese are an ancient civilization, and the Chinese Communist Party itself has kind of a long view of things. And even if Trump is going to put tariffs on their products, I think they're happy to have a little trade war. One thing, it makes the U.S. the bad guy instead of the Chinese Communist Party. Nationalism really helps them stay in power. Another is they have the incentive to fight back against Trump. Because Trump, he'll be there 4 to 8 years. 4 to 8 years. In the long stretch of time and of China's unstoppable rise, as they see it, 48 years is nothing. They'll have a little war in the meantime. Yeah, it'll hurt their economy, but in the long run, future American presidents will look back on Trump's trade war and be like, "Oh, shit, Chinese will fight back." Yeah, so their incentive's actually to fight back, but who knows? Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll have more short-term fear. It's possible. Another thing with Trump we got to remember is he said a lot of shit. And a lot of it might not really happen. So it's also possible he just won't really do anything. And so it's not a thing to worry about. Another huge possibility, this might be the highest possibility. So he goes and makes some demands on China, talks a good game, they sign some deal or make some agreement, and Trump trumpets it. Trump trumpets it as a great deal to help the American worker, to stop the Chinese cheating. And I'm sure all of his Republican allies and ideological allies, as they tend to do on both sides, will support their side and say, yes, it was a great deal. But then, when you get some nonpartisan experts looking at it, the deal's kind of meaningless. So there's a good chance he'll just do a bunch of bluster, can't get anything done, and we'll just have kind of a fake success. Which, that's a positive outcome relative to a trade war, which would hurt the economy. I think similar things could happen with Mexico. The Mexican people are not fans of Trump. They do not want to see their president or their Congress given in to Trump's demands. A Mexican political party that gives in to Trump, their survival might be in question. They might lose the next election. So that's going to be tough for Trump. But we're being optimistic here. Again, it might just be a bullshit success. Nothing really happens, but they shake some hands, maybe even sign a deal, but the deal just doesn't really matter. It's small. Another possibility, again, is we're a major trade partner with Mexico. Maybe they really do not want the short-term gains. Maybe are willing to take their people not being mad with... they're willing to take their people being mad. So maybe it could work. Maybe people will really be afraid of them to give in. I think that is plausible on these trade deals, but it's not likely. More likely is either a full-on trade war, as both sides dig in their heels, or just kind of a bullshit agreement that doesn't really do anything. Alright. Russia. So as a lot of you have probably seen, the Russian government, including Putin, were literally toasting to Trump's success that they may have played a role in. They played a role on it. Whether their role was enough to put over top or not, who knows. But they definitely released a lot of damning sounding things about Trump. So if we're being positive here, optimistic, Syria's probably gone. Assad, the dictator of Syria, who Iran and Russia are supporting, he is probably incredibly happy to see Trump as president. And if Trump does keep being nice to Russia, that probably means giving up on anything that would topple Assad. And so Russia gets their way in Syria. That's probably what's going to happen. And because Trump's also said he doesn't want to really get into Syria, other than he wants to fight ISIS, where he makes vague comments about destroying ISIS. But Russia says they want to destroy ISIS. They just also destroy the non-ISIS rebels. Yes, Syria's probably gone. But we're really being optimistic. There might be room for something that I frankly wish more people would talk about as a possibility, which is some sort of great power arrangement between the U.S. and Russia. So United States, we like to be the all-powerful. We were the lone superpower for a long time, and in some ways still are. And so we want to influence every country, not give up anything. You know what? It might be time, or even long past time, to start drawing some lines, especially in Eastern Europe, and say, no, Russia, this country, you have the main influence on. Don't mess with anything outside of that, but we agree, you have influence there, we are not going to mess with that. So, I mean, in Ukraine, we had some influence, I don't really know, extent of influence in the overtoppling of a Russian-friendly government, and it just ended in a crazy civil war. Now, Ukraine's kind of permanently fucked, it seems like. We're not really willing to get engaged. So something like that, sometimes we just gotta say, no, look, Ukraine, I'm sorry. I wish you could be part of the West and have a great economy and everything, but it's not going to fucking happen. And we need to shake a deal with Putin that says, okay, you have primary influence. I'm not saying necessarily we should do that on Ukraine, but just in general, we'll have to work through the details. This isn't a details podcast at the moment, or this particular episode, but it might be for a great power arrangement. We could really improve relations with Russia, and we can get together and start working on things that are in our common interest, instead of rubbing at the edges, creating a lot of friction for countries that frankly don't really matter to us. So there's room there. I'll stick on foreign policy for just a minute. Iran. So Trump has talked negatively about Obama's Iran deal, but he's also hasn't really said he's going to tear it up necessarily. He's kind of gone back and forth. So, in my opinion, it's best, as long as Iran is holding to their end of the bargain, we shouldn't break the deal, because that probably means either them getting a nuclear weapon or war. That's probably the other options. So, optimistic here is that, hey, he might just let it stand for now, as long as they're keeping their end of the bargain. Global warming, also known as climate change, of course referring to the man-made variety. Yeah, global climate is probably fucked. Yeah, it's probably fucked. Because we're kind of running out of time to be able to stop significant warming, which could have a lot of bad effects in the long term. But being optimistic, hey, you know, it's really complicated trying to figure out what causes what and where the climate will be. Although scientists have been studying this for decades, many decades, and most agree, yeah, humans are causing global warming, and yeah, it's going to have really negative effects. It's hard to tell. Even if they're right that humans are causing global warming, it's possible that getting a little warmer will affect clouds and rain and wind in such a way that we don't actually get all that warm. It's possible. We don't really know. I mean, the scientific consensus is pretty clear, but I'm just saying, it's possible that it won't be nearly as bad as we think. Hey, that's kind of all we got now, because we're certainly not going to do shit, because if the United States isn't going to stop it, the other countries can't do it on their own. They'll likely pollute more because we're polluting, as far as carbon pollution. Another optimistic thing about global climate, which looks pretty fucked, but hey, there could always be a miracle technology. We might realize the world's getting hot, and yeah, we fucked it up. Really, it would have been Trump and the Republicans that fucked it up. But maybe someone will develop a miracle technology. You know, something that just shoots into space and fixes everything. I mean, that's possible. Someone might find a way to just get rid of the carbon in the air and other things that call the greenhouse gases. Or just a way to make it cooler. So yeah, we got greenhouse gases making it warmer. We got another way to make it cooler and it'll balance out. Maybe someone might think of a miracle technology. That's really dangerous because any technology that's messing with the atmosphere might fuck more things up. But it's possible. I mean, it's a Hail Mary, but it's plausible to be some sort of miracle technology. So we can hope for that as far as climate change is concerned. Oh, the debt. Once again, I'm being optimistic, but that's probably fucked if he does what he says he's going to do. So right now he has a bunch of plans for different spending on a wall, on a deportation force, on infrastructure, on a few other things, and a humongous tax cut. The biggest tax cut since Reagan, bigger than Reagan. All that's going to explode the debt, which, by the way, is already in serious trouble. Right now we're in a situation where, due to a few huge programs like the military, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, holy crap, on its own the debt is exploding. And it sounds like Trump's going to blow it out of the water. Now, that's if he actually does that. Once he's actually looking at the numbers, once he's not campaigning, once he's surrounded by other experts whose goal isn't to get him elected but to govern, you might have to back up on that. Not to mention a lot of these things that would explode the debt require Congress. And well, yes, he has a Republican Congress, but a lot of those Republican congressmen really care about the debt. A lot of them ran on that. Now, they very well could be hypocritical and decide not to care about it once they're in power. Simply, frankly, a lot of them who were supporting Trump and also complained about the debt under Obama were completely hypocritical because everything Trump said was pretty bad for the debt as far as what he said he wanted to do. But Congress might hold the line. Congress might say, no, even though you're from our party, we're not exploding the debt. We got to do something better. So we really, on the debt, like with the trade deals, it's possible his actual plan could end up good. It's possible. I mean, it's realistic that it could, even if it's not likely. With the debt, he really just has to not do his plan, whether because Congress stops him or because he changes his mind. But we could be optimistic that might happen. Welfare with Trump is probably similar to welfare with any Republican president. And since he has a Republican Congress, this is really with or without Trump. And here I'm not really talking about Social Security or Medicare, but the other variety of welfare programs we have. Yeah, poor people are fucked. Now, optimistic about that, hey, we have a myriad of programs, and maybe some of them are just not necessary. Maybe some of them don't work as well as others. Maybe it's good to kind of reset, reduce the funding for a lot of these, and then later we can rebuild them back up. Meantime, the people who actually need these, yeah, they'll be a little fucked. Might be hard paying their rent, a little hard paying the heating costs, feeding their family, but, I mean, that's a downside. Shit. But it might be better in the long run, also might save a little money. Who knows? It's hard to judge how many people are being lazier because of welfare, but there might be some people who actually could be more productive citizens if not for welfare. Maybe cutting it down a little will produce that. So these things are possible. Yeah. All right, the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, yeah, it could be gone. The Republicans in Congress have been wanting to get rid of it for a long time. They have both parts of Congress and they have the presidency. And Trump says he wants it gone. Now, they always say repeal and replace, but the replace is so much. It's one thing, it's always never clear what replace is, but also it's so much smaller that it's not really the same thing. But as far as having subsidies to help people who are pretty poor but not poor enough for Medicaid, as well as the expansion of Medicaid so you can be less poor and get Medicaid, as far as having subsidies for these semi-poor people, that's probably gone. So a lot of people rely on the Affordable Care Act health insurance as a backup in case they get sick. That sucks for them. But, that program was never clear if that was going to work really well. I mean, certainly, if you have a $500,000 health insurance bill and you could only afford a health bill and you could only afford health insurance for Affordable Care Act, that person is now fucked. Someone is in that situation. But overall, it may affect the market negatively, making things inefficient. And positive, even if it was a great program, of course it's going to make healthcare more expensive. By adding millions of new people with health insurance, you have more people who are going to use the health system. that increases demand. And, if you increase demand, that price goes up. So for all of us who can afford health insurance outside of it, or currently can, who knows in the future, getting rid of the Affordable Care Act might not be so bad. And he has plans to keep some of the popular measures, although the most popular measures, like being able to sign up even when you're sick, that really doesn't make sense without the mandate. Because if people can go sign up for health insurance once they're sick and have not been paying premiums this whole time, that means they're going to be a huge cost to the health insurance company without paying their share. And if it's a cost to the health insurance company, it's also a cost to all the other consumers. So yeah, if you don't have health insurance, you have to get sick, you're now fucked, or Hope Charity can help you. But since this can happen to a lot of people and it's so expensive, charity can help a few people. They're not going to help everyone. But the market as a whole might be better, and some of the other ideas aren't necessarily bad. Before the Affordable Care Act, you only get subsidies through work, because work health insurance is subsidized by the government. So you're actually getting a little government help, a little welfare. But if you go buy it on your own, you don't. So Trump plans on giving a subsidy to everyone. Although it's not a subsidy, it's a tax deduction. It really only helps you if you have a decent amount of money. I mean, if you're poor, you're still fucked. But, not all those data are that bad. Basically, it might make the market a little cheaper for those of us who can afford health insurance, and those who can't, yeah, you're probably fucked. And Democrats do have enough to filibuster, but a lot of the Affordable Care Act can be done be gotten rid of, or just so damaged that the Affordable Care Act doesn't work at all, even without passing an actual law through the Senate, or at least through the filibuster, something that requires a filibuster to end. So, filibuster probably won't stop it, but with all this stuff anything that requires a law, if you don't like it, an optimistic outlook would say, well, maybe the Democrats will stop it in a filibuster. All right, immigration. So yeah, that giant wall is probably a massive waste of money. One thing, right now, we don't even have that much immigration in the country, illegal or otherwise, although if the economy improves, we'd get more. But also, ladders and tunnels and boats. It's not clear if the wall would even be very effective. If it was that effective, I don't know if it's really worth billions and billions of dollars, which it might cost 9 to 13 billion, maybe more, to build the type of wall he's describing. So optimistically, hey, maybe this would be nice stimulus. Maybe there's people out there who have trouble getting a job, and working on that wall help them out. Maybe it'll look cool. Maybe a tourist attraction. Maybe we'll make it so big that it'd be seen from space. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah. More on immigration. If he's going to deport millions of people, we have like 11 to 13 million illegal immigrants. He's pulled back. No reason to be optimistic in general. Often he says something outrageous and then pulls it back to something only semi-outrageous. So, a lot of things he pulls backs on, even before the campaign ended. So now, last I've heard, he wants to deport 2 million people who have committed crimes, illegals who have committed other crimes. Now, there's probably less than 200,000 who committed crimes, so where he's getting this 2 million number, I don't know. But either way, on one hand, this might be a huge waste of money, but hey, gotta be stimulus. Someone's going to have to drag those people out of their homes where they've lived in for years and send them to Mexico. Someone's got to do that, and they're going to get paid. Another optimistic thing about it is just, people who cross illegally, that's the risk they take. It's not like it's people who came here legally and now we're truly fucking them over. Here, they're getting fucked, but they had a role in their own fucking, which makes it not feel as bad. And people won't like this, but maybe a wider country is a good thing. I mean, the country's slowly getting less and less white, but we're obviously having trouble being united, and who knows, maybe there's pockets of people who aren't assimilating. Well, I don't really have evidence that that's the case, so I'm stretching here, and, but maybe it's best to slow down the unwhitening of the country, and of course, tougher immigration laws will help that. That's a stretch, and it's going to make me look like a racist, but I said it, If that's wrong, tell me in the comments why. Another thing is, Trump's a deal maker. Who knows? He might get in there and decide he wants a comprehensive immigration deal that requires enforcement, but also a path to citizenship, and also allows more workers to get in for the areas of our industries that need workers, mostly really, really shitty jobs that when immigrants go away, we've seen in history a lot of certain type of fruits don't get picked. Who knows? Maybe the farmers need to raise the wages at the same time. I don't think those farmers are making that much money, so it might be hard for them to raise wages. But anyways, yeah, maybe he will just make a comprehensive deal. Maybe he was kind of full of shit or change his mind. He seems to change his mind a lot. All right, tax reform. This is one place we can be pretty optimistic. So right now the tax code, there's tons of deductions. And at one point in time, deductions, you pay less taxes for certain different things. And at one point, each of these probably had an idea behind them, or they did and may have made sense. But a lot of them might not make sense anymore. And are really just used for people to pay less taxes who don't really deserve it and doesn't really help the country. So Republicans for a long time, and even most Democrats, Obama wants to do something like this. They want to simplify the tax code. Now, it hasn't happened yet because, and along with simplifying it, is how much everyone pays. And of course, Republicans want people to pay less, Democrats more, especially the wealthier. But we might finally get tax reform. That should help the economy a little bit by having a simpler tax reform and having people not pay less taxes just because of some bullshit part of the law. So there's a good chance that can happen with Congress, with Republicans controlling everything. And we should all get lower taxes. Trump is promising huge tax cuts, which really are a bad thing because of the debt. But hey, at least in the short term, we'll get a little bit of dough back from the government. Actually, unless you're rich, you're not going to get that much, but you still get a little bit. The rich people get millions of dollars. The rest of us might get like $1,000 or even less, depends on what you make. But yeah, you'll get a little bit. That's a good thing. Short term good, long term bad as far as how it might affect the debt. That's another thing about global warming. A lot of regulations that Obama put in to limit global warming, limit our carbon footprint. Yeah, they do slow the economy a little bit. It's forcing businesses to do things that are less economically efficient or have higher costs that could be used for other things. When Trump gets rid of those, that'll be a temporary boost to the economy. Now, long term, if the world warms enough, which it probably will, that's going to be really crushing for the economy, dealing with the effects of warming. But that's long term. All right? Temporary tax cut, don't worry about the debt. Temporary boost to the economy, let's not worry about getting warm later. Fuck. Hey, by the time it gets really warm, I'll probably be dead. Who gives a shit? I'll be dead. Who cares if the planet sucks for other people? I'll be dead. I want a slightly better economy now. Yeah. Another short term, actually a lot of Trump's plans are nice short term, as far as the welfare thing. Hey, that's money that can be used for other things. We're not giving the welfare. Long term, having people who aren't educated well and aren't as well nutritioned makes them less productive, makes their children less productive, and makes them more prone to crime. And hey, if it gets really bad, more prone to certain riots and rebellions. So, but that's long term. Short term, yeah, save a little money in welfare. So short term, things could go well. And of course, people would be bragging about the benefits of it and not looking at the long term. In the long term, you just blame who's ever president at the time. Oh, the short-sightedness of man. All right, Muslims. Now, there's another one he's backed off on. Originally, he was going to ban all Muslims from entering temporarily, which, considering the vast majority of Muslims have nothing to do with terrorism, and that's completely unnecessary, and we already have a vetting system, it's just completely unnecessary. So why would you do it unless you have a racial bias or a cultural bias, unless there's some bigotry involved in the opinion? But he's backed that up, and he more just talks about extreme vetting, and has said just from certain countries. So yeah, a lot of people we fucked who would really benefit from coming from the U.S., and even refugees who are just desperate, and it would really help them. But to be optimistic, hey, the country will be more united, because there'll be less people of another religion. It's always possible that a few terrorists will sneak through. Even though vetting's pretty good, it only takes one terrorist to kill a bunch of people. So maybe a few less people will die from terrorism. So, really, that's not bad. That's not really going to hurt us that much. Might make us look worse in the world as they see us. Not letting people in partially because of generalizations, which is really, when we say bigotry, we really mean generalizations based on a category, unfair generalizations. But hey, at least in short term, it's not going to fuck us up that much. And who knows? But frankly, if the U.S. has power, maybe it doesn't matter if people don't like us. They don't like us anyways. Fuck them. And if it stops one guy from getting here and kills like 10 people, I mean, to me, that's not worth it. We should actually help millions of people by letting them come in, assuming we have some ability to vet, which apparently we do with tier system. But there is a benefit from that. It might save lives and keep the country more united. All right. I think we can be optimistic about that. So, Trump presidency, not bad. All right, NATO. So, the United States has long had a problem with our NATO allies and allies outside of NATO. So this goes outside of NATO. Also, our East Asia allies like Japan, South Korea, not paying their share. You know, we have many arguments with our friends about this. They don't have a large enough military. We're doing all the goddamn work. And that's what Trump's feeding on. Now, his rhetoric was so high that he almost looks like would threaten to leave NATO. And that could be very dangerous for the world and could have a lot of our allies join other countries and join other powers or ally with them. Or just us be less close. We won't be able to cooperate as easily when we need to. You know, in Iraq and Afghanistan, we had a lot of cooperation from our allies in those. So there's a fear that he'll go too far and neither side will want to give in and then we'll ruin our alliances. It's also possible that tough talk will scare people and they'll start paying their fair share, or at least a little more of it. That's realistically possible. So there's a possibility of his tough demands, and if they believe that he would fuck up our alliances, that some of these countries start paying their fair share. So that could go well. It could. All right, nukes. This is another thing. Well, maybe he'll tone it down, but he often said that he's fine with Saudi Arabia having nukes or Japan. Every nuke in the world is a nuke that could be stolen and used to kill millions of innocent people, or one that can be accidentally shot off. So generally, we don't want all these countries having nukes, especially Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is not the most stable country. I mean, they're stable because they have a lot of oil money and they buy off their citizens, but a lot of their citizens aren't necessarily happy or don't necessarily consider their government that legitimate. And there's definitely a lot of terrorists in that region or people who are susceptible to terrorism. If that government has trouble and it starts to fall and they have nuclear weapons, well, there's a good chance terrorists could get those weapons. So for that alone, we do not want Saudi Arabia to have nukes. But hey, let's say Trump encourages Saudi Arabia to get their own nukes and they do. Well, hey, unless we have to do less work countering Iran because they can do it for us. It's probably more stable if we do it. But hey, at least China will think twice about messing with Japan because now they don't have to think, hey, if we attack Japan, is the U.S. really going to nuke us? Because if they nuke us, we're going to nuke them. As the French were concerned, the French got nukes because they were concerned, is the United States really going to trade Paris for L.A.? Or something like that. Idea is Russia nukes Paris. If Russia nukes Paris, are we going to now nuke Russia and then get nuked ourselves? Or are we going to go, yeah, that sucks, but we're not going to start a nuclear war between us? Now China will know, yeah, if you nuke Japan, Japan's going to nuke you. So it could be a nice deterrent for things like that. That's being optimistic. I mean, I'd prefer no one have nukes but us. If it were up to me, Saudi Arabia is much more dangerous because of the potential instability, and even not instability. Even if they don't start falling apart, there could be a concentrated terrorist attack. Since in that region, that's where terrorists would love to get a hand of nuclear weapon. That's where they tend to be. So it could go well. There's some positives from that. Oh, well, one of the best things we have to be optimistic about is we're going to have the hottest first lady ever. Ever. I mean, I'm pretty sure tits are fake, but she's pretty fucking hot. I mean, she's in her 40s, obviously, but she's good looking. I think she'll be the hottest first lady in the history of first ladies, and I think it's pretty awesome to be able to jack off to your first lady, so that's a good thing. Good thing. I wouldn't be jacking off to Bill Clinton, that's for sure. Alright, he's talked about a lot of bans on trying to fight lobbyists. Now, as of right now, his transition team to become president has a lot of big lobbyists on it, so that's a little worrisome. Although I would expect that. because you want to have experts in every area, and often the best experts are people from the industry. And of course, they have their own interest in mind as well. But when you talk when you do a lot of big talk, getting tough on lobbyists, it's not clear you're going to do that when that's who you're talking to. But anyways, it's possible he'll do some things that might limit lobbyist influence, which could be a good thing if they have too much influence. Some minor thing. The FDA, Federal Drug Administration, Trump wants to speed up the process of approving drugs. Now, the obvious cost of this is you're more likely to get bad drugs that hurt people. But there might be good drugs that can help people that can help them sooner or before it's too late. So that could be a good thing we'll be optimistic about. And really the biggest thing is if he doesn't do anything stupid. Because right now, obviously Trump doesn't know much about policy. But the truth is, if pretty much Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, and other Republican experts are the ones really making the decisions or are heavily influential on Trump, then basically we just have a standard Republican administration. It's very well possible that Trump's really not going to do anything outrageous. Once he gets the authority of office and realizes he has all this power, he'll still say some stupid shit, but he won't actually do that much stupid shit. So then the negative things are just the standard negative things you'll have with any Republican administrations. But that's not anything really out of control with Trump. So the most optimistic things is just that he doesn't have that much influence. And it's basically, sucks if you it sucks if you prefer liberal policies, but at least it's not anything that's going to be that horrible. So I think that's one of our biggest bulwarks, the things to be optimistic about, because he already kind of looks like a little bitch. Like when he's talking to Paul Ryan and stuff, he's like, well, yes, we had a good conversation. It's obviously he doesn't know anything, so he's really going to lean heavily on the other experts, which are all Republicans. So we should basically expect pretty standard Republican policy, which, some people are going to get fucked, but short term could definitely help the economy and definitely help wealthy people have more money. Alright, so that was a bit of a ramble. I thought it would be. I like to plan my things out, get a lot of facts, and focus on a more narrow topic. That's what I plan to do in the future. So if you like detail and facts, actually, I don't plan on doing a lot of rambles like this, so hope you come back. Maybe this will be a basis to judge some other things he's done, whether my optimism was warranted or not. I'm not actually optimistic. I'm just trying to be it. But let's sum up with maybe the biggest threats, I think. Debt. It sounds like he wants to explode the debt. All of his plans show exploding the debt, both because he wants to spend and a huge tax cut. And we can't afford to explode the debt any more than it's already exploded. So that's the biggest threat. Foreign policy. Presidents have tremendous influence on foreign policy. They don't have to go through Congress as much. So if he gets us in trade wars or real wars, just ruins our relations, so we can't cooperate as well with other nations. That could be a problem. And because it is Trump that's going to be in there talking to other world leaders, not necessarily just as experts. So hopefully he doesn't fuck that up. That's really scary. And just in general, his temperament. He's kind of threatened to almost jail journalists. He's threatened a lot of weird things. The way his temperament, the way he seems semi-psycho, I don't think he's a sociopath, but he definitely acts like a child in his short-temperedness and the way he gets mad at people. That's scary, because whenever you get mad easily like that, whenever you're offended easily, whenever you have thin skin, you're more likely to do things in retribution that are not right. You're more likely to forget that, hey, it's an important part of a democracy is to let journalists say what they want, even if it annoys you, and to not try to have retribution. And we have libel laws. If they say something that hurts you and is not true, you can sue them. But if it's true, or if they really thought it was true, it doesn't matter how much you don't like it. And that's an important part of being a free country. So let's hope his temperament doesn't get in the way and have him do something really stupid, do some Nixonian behavior, abusing his power to spy on political opponents. Global warming, yeah, we're fucked. We just gotta hope that the scientists are wrong, which is a hope. A lot of people like to act like it's just a big hoax. No, they've been studying a long time. Anyone that's objectively looked at all the evidence, it looks like most likely men are causing global warming that will have really bad negative effects. But we don't know it for sure. So we can hope. We can hope. And we also hope on the miracle technologies. And yeah, many poor people will be hurt. But if you're not a poor person, hey, we'll be a leaner government. As far as that area of anyways. Alright. Well, I realized when I looked at the shot, but I was too lazy to fix it, that's a little low of a shot, which is bad because I'm kind of fat. But it's also kind of good. You know what I'm saying? So anywho, I'm Lone Candle. Like me, comment me, love me. Oh, fuck!